What's up everyone, and welcome to yet another video. Hang on a sec, guys. What do you want now, bro? You're always calling me when I'm filming a video.
Hey man, I'm just calling for some advice on training my calves. No matter what I do, I just can't seem to make them grow.
Funny you ask that, man. I was just about to make a video on this. So grab your notepad if you're serious about making these gains. And also, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a future upload. Okay, welcome to yet another video for real this time. Scott McLeod here. Coach Scott McLeod, certified personal trainer. And in this video, I'm gonna go over everything that you need to know about training your calves. We'll go over the absolute best exercises that you can do for your calves. We'll then look at what the science says about training the musculature of the calf complex. And then we'll end by asking, what would Arnold Schwarzenegger do? So first of all, what do we know about the musculature of the calf complex? We're talking about two major muscles here, the soleus and the gastrocnemius. It has been shown that the soleus is made up of mainly type 1 muscle fibers, whereas the gastrocnemius mainly made up of type 2 muscle fibers. Type 1 muscle fibers are slower to produce maximal tension and more resistant to fatigue, also known as slow twitch muscle fibers. Type 2 muscle fibers, on the other hand, these are quick to produce maximal tension, but fatigue rather quickly, also known as fast twitch muscle fibers. All muscles have varying combinations of both type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers. Concentrations of each type of muscle fiber vary depending on the function of the muscle and of course your genetics. But without any further delay, let's get into the gym and let's talk about the absolute best exercises that you can perform for the musculature of the calf complex.
The absolute best exercises that you can perform for the calves are calf raises with your knees straight, like a standing calf raise, but then also exercises with your knees bent, like a seated calf raise. Calf exercises with your knees straight are primarily targeting your gastrocnemius, although the soleus definitely does also get involved, whereas seated calf raises are great for the soleus, the deeper muscle of the lower leg. Both the soleus and the gastrocnemius concentrically accelerate plantar flexion, decelerate ankle dorsiflexion, and isometrically stabilize the foot and ankle complex. So we'll definitely get to what all of that means. But first and foremost, watch how I set up for this standing calf raise. I come all the way down to the floor. My heels are touching the floor before I then come up. All the way down, all the way up, and pause. I kind of turn this into a 3-part movement, from the absolute bottom of the movement, coming up a little bit, pausing a little bit, and then coming all the way up again. So almost like a 3-part movement, but I'm really slow and methodical, controlling the weight, not swinging the weight around, not jerking the weight around, being very controlled in the movement, fully extending to the floor, stretching the heck out of the muscle, coming up, slight pause, coming up again, pausing at the top. So in my firsthand anecdotal experience, this is how I've realized the most gains when training my calves. Turning it into a 3-part movement, really cutting down the weight, checking my ego at the door. I'm really focusing on stretching the calves at the bottom of the movement, bringing those heels to the floor. Full stretch, deep, deep, deep stretch of the musculature. Coming up a little bit, nice and slow and controlled. Kind of a midway pause there before finally extending all the way to the top, up on the ball of my foot, the tip of my toes, contracting the muscle as hard as I can at the top, really bringing the calf as a whole through an optimal range of motion. So I mentioned earlier that one of the functions of both the soleus and the gastrocnemius is to decelerate ankle dorsiflexion. That's my reasoning for stretching the heck out of the muscle at the bottom of the movement. Really focus on that stretch. I strongly believe that you need to decelerate that ankle dorsiflexion appropriately at the bottom, meaning stretch that muscle, come up nice and slow and controlled, and then come up again at the top, holding that contraction at the top, pausing, squeezing the muscle, really connecting with the muscle. So the same rules are obviously going to apply for this seated calf raise. Watch how controlled I am in the movement. All the way down, coming up a little bit, pausing a little bit, and then contracting completely at the top. So I'm not going to lie to you and say that this is going to magically transform your calves in a very short amount of time. Developing any muscle group takes time, years and years of hard training, years and years of progressive overload. But if you follow these tips and tricks, you'll be well on your way to better development of your calf musculature. Compound that with years and years of hard training and progressive overload, and you can be well on your way to much, much better calves. But again, not going to happen in 2 weeks' time or a short amount of time to the best calves of your life. None of that nonsense here. So remember, use a combination of exercises with your knees straight and your knees bent when it comes to training your calves. Control the movement, take the muscle through a complete and optimal range of motion, check your ego at the door of the gym. Allow yourself to be more methodical and controlled in that movement. And always progressively overload the muscle. That's the name of the game, progressive overload.
Okay, but what does the science say about training your calves? And to outline the science, we're going to turn our attention to Brad Schoenfeld. Brad Schoenfeld is a professor, a researcher, an author, a PhD, just the overall absolute GOAT when it comes to human performance research. What Brad Schoenfeld says, he posts an article about the anatomical and physiological properties of muscles, determining its adaptive response to different loading protocols. And in his caption, some people think the calves are purely a genetic muscle. You either have good calves or you don't. Brad says, not true. The calves do respond to regimented resistance training, and you don't need to go heavy to get results. Our recent study showed that gains in both the gastrocnemius and the soleus were comparable to what is generally seen in the muscles of the arms and the quads, between 7 to 13% increase. What's more, increases were similar between training in a moderate rep range, 6 to 10 reps, or a higher rep range, 20 to 30 reps, indicating that gains are achieved regardless of the amount of weight used, provided training is carried out with a level of effort. In other words, go hard. Go harder than last time, as Coach Greg Doucette would say. Bring forth that effort. The key is, don't train your calves as an afterthought. Work them hard and use a combination of straight knee and bent knee exercises. The absolute best exercises that you can do, straight knee and bent knee exercises, the exercise that I just covered in the gym for all of you. Train your calves hard, train them harder than last time, progressively overload the muscle. More to come on progressive overload down the line on this YouTube channel. Go harder in the gym each and every time. So quickly, just back to Dr. Brad Schoenfeld's point on rep ranges. He says that increases were similar between training in a moderate rep range, 6 to 10 reps, and a higher rep range, 20 to 30 reps. It's exactly what I was saying in those absolute best exercises that you can do for your calves. Don't be afraid to cut the weight. In fact, cut the weight down. Control the weight. Leave your ego at the door. We don't need to be swinging and jerking that weight. We need to be controlling that weight, taking the musculature through an optimal range of motion, being careful to control that eccentric portion of the rep, come up and pause at the top of the concentric portion of the rep, and also be sure to put forth the necessary amount of effort. The point I'm trying to make, and the point that this post is trying to make, is don't worry about the weight. Leave the ego at the door when you get into the gym. Trust me, look around the gym, the people with these smallest calves, and I mean this humbly, the people out there with the most underdeveloped calf musculature are the ones getting on the calf raise machine, swinging and jerking around the weight, a weight that they cannot handle, not checking their ego at the door, just swinging that weight, jerking that weight, not controlling it, not taking the musculature through an optimal range of motion. Okay, so we'll end by asking, what would Arnold Schwarzenegger do? And to answer that question, we have the Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. If Arnold is one of the GOATs, then his anecdotal first-hand experience and history of training has to have some weight to it. Arnold claims that the calves are considered the most difficult muscle group in the body to develop, but the calves respond to training just like any other muscle. He says the primary mass builder for calves is standing calf raises that, alongside donkey calf raises, work both the soleus and the gastrocnemius, with seated calf raises better targeting just the soleus. He also claims that many bodybuilders, they're training their calves as an afterthought, before or after their regular workout. They give them 10 minutes or so, far less than they would any other muscle group, and then they complain when their calves do not respond. So Arnold, he preaches treating the calves like any other body part. He trains them really heavy. He says the calves are designed for constant work and rapid recuperation. So he trains them 30 to 45 minutes a day, using a wide variety of exercises, not just some standing calf raises and some seated calf raises, but enough movements to work work every area of the calf muscles, upper, lower, inside, outside, hitting that muscle from all angles. Arnold does also tell a story about a young bodybuilder coming up to him saying he admired Arnold's calf development. Arnold then replied, "You can have calves just as good if you're willing to pay the price." So there you have it, folks. The absolute best exercises that you can be doing for your calves, what the science says about calf training, and what Arnold Schwarzenegger says about calf training. Please leave a comment down below if you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy this video, please also let me know what muscle group you would like to learn about next. If you found value in this video, please give the video a thumbs up. Be sure to also subscribe to the channel. I drop 2 videos a week, every Tuesday and every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'll see each and every one of you, yes, even you, in the very next video.